But let's get to it right away. My top 10 teams in the country, but we always start with the teams that just didn't quite make it. So my almost top 10 in the country, the way I see it, I've got Ole Miss, Arkansas, BYU, and Michigan State. And I know a lot of people are like, why in the world is Arkansas not in your top 10? Well, because I think it remains to be seen what and how good they are. Remember that win against Texas A&M, however impressive it was against the Texas A&M team that has not been impressive at all. Defensively, they've played well, but A&M only beat Colorado by one score. That's a Colorado team that got shut out by Minnesota at home, and that's a Minnesota team that went home and lost to Bowling Green as a 30-point favorite. So we'll see. We'll see with Arkansas over the next couple of weeks. By the way, Michigan State, they stay in there but slipped a little bit. Why did they slip a little bit? Well, you know, they didn't really do anything in the second half. They ran back that punt to tie the game in order to beat Nebraska. Let's get to the teams that actually made it into the top 10. My top 10, as I see it here, as we enter October, Notre Dame comes back into the top 10 after that win against Wisconsin. Not really on the road, that neutral site game in Soldier Field. I was very impressed with their defense. Marcus Freeman's defense starting to gel. They were creating turnovers. That's exactly what Brian Kelly wanted from that defense, and they're starting to do that. Now, they've got a tough game this week against Cincinnati. Remember now, that's Freeman's former team, and obviously Luke Fickell, he knows what he's doing, and Cincinnati is my number 9 team. Desmond Ridder has been very good for them. Their defense has been terrific, and now they've got their shot. I think this is actually the biggest group of 5 game that we've seen maybe in the playoff era, because I've always argued that it really takes 2 years. Cincinnati fans, it takes 2 years to get a bona fide group of 5 team into that playoff conversation in a legitimate way. And so last year is going to help you now moving forward into this season. They've got to beat Notre Dame. This is it. If Cincinnati wants to go to the playoff, Bearcat fans, if you want to go to the playoff, this one's a must. This is the biggest game a group of 5 team has played in the playoff era. If they get this one based on the rest of their schedule and what's happening around the country, we very well could see Cincinnati in the playoff, and I think that that would be a really good thing for college football. All right, we continue to move up this top 10. I've got Ohio State moving up to number 8. People are like, well, what in the world? Ohio State hasn't looked very good. Would it surprise you at all, college football fans, would it surprise you at all if I told you Ohio State was actually leading the country in yards per play at just over 8.5 yards per play? You'd probably be surprised, right? You're like, whoa, I thought the sky was falling at Ohio State. Well, maybe not necessarily. Now, Kyle McCord started last week. It looks like C.J. Stroud's going to be healthy, and we're going to see what happens with the development of their defense. But as this team starts to gel and develop, Travion Henderson gets more carries. Watch out for Ohio State. They're still the team that you've got to knock off in that Big Ten Conference. All right, we continue to move up. Florida goes all the way up to number 7 for me because of the way they can run the football. All right, they lose to Bama basically because their 2-point play was not any good. But that team can run it. They're fast on defense. I was impressed with what they have done, even at 3-1. They're my number 7 team. Penn State's at number 6. Obviously, we know what Penn State is, but I think what has been really fun to see for Penn State is the development of their offense. Sean Clifford, he's up 11% on completion percentage from what he was a year ago. So the new offensive coordinator is working. Mike Yursich is doing a heck of a job. Jahan Dotson, he's got at least 5 catches and a touchdown in every single game this season. That's what you got to do, is get your playmaker the ball, and they've been able to do that. The defense obviously has been tremendous. I've been talking about that all year long. I've got Iowa at number 5, although some concerning things popping up in regards to Iowa, namely their inability to run the ball. They're only running it for 3.3 yards per play. That's something to watch out for. They ran it for under 2 yards per play against Colorado State last week. They were able to win that game, but yeah, you know, we'll see where Iowa goes from here, even though they get into my top 5. Now the 4, Oklahoma, I've still got them at number 4. I got a lot of people expressing a lot of frustration with OU at number 4. And the bottom line is this. OU, while they have not looked great, are still 4-0. This is still a team with a very high ceiling. And I think that they can correct some of the errors that we're seeing. So OU is going to remain at number 4 because of where they can go and their ability to continue to win these games even when they're not playing well. I think Ohio State would probably trade places with him after that loss to Oregon. All right. At number 3 for me is Oregon. Obviously, that win on the road. Oregon's 4-0. They're going to be my number 3 team in the country. They can still run it well. They didn't look great against Arizona. That's an Arizona team that looks like it might not win a football game, but they're going to continue to be good. And by the way, Kayvon Thibodeau probably going to be back into the lineup for Oregon here moving forward. So we'll see how good their defense can potentially play. Georgia at number 2, and then Alabama at number 1. And those two, I feel like, have really separated themselves out. If Oregon would have looked more dominant against Arizona, I probably would have separated the 3 out. But really, at this point, it's Alabama and Georgia, what they've been able to do. Bryce Young looks really good and comfortable even as a young quarterback. Georgia's defense has scored more touchdowns than they've given up. And JT Daniels is second in the country in completion percentage. So it looks like they're the biggest threat to Alabama at this point, and 2 teams that have kind of clearly separated themselves out, and then a whole mess of teams that are going to be jockeying for that 3 and 4 position when it comes playoff time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.